to Tech Life Weekly with the Biz Chicks. I'm here with my friend and colleague, Miss Francine Gregory, real estate entrepreneur and tech diva. I'm Terralina from California Cover Ups, and we are the Biz Chicks. We just want you to relax, come in, enjoy, and learn more about how to use tech in your life and in your business. With that, we want to get this party started because we always like to start with a little bit of history and a little bit of futuristic projections. So with that, we're going to turn it over to Fran. Hey, Fran, how you doing this morning?
Hey, I am doing very, very well. I'm just
Good.
going to do a couple of things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, okay, so tech history, June 28th, 1955. This is the
Mm-hmm.
55. Let me see if there's something else I want to talk about. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Let's go back to something that let me
Okay.
start back here. So, June 22nd, 1946, in a demonstration of the capabilities of jet aircraft, Army Air Corps pilots Kenneth Chillstrom and Robert Baird transport mail in a Lockheed P-80 Shooting Star, thus making the first delivery mail by jet aircraft. The first air mail,
Airmail.
June 22nd, 1946.
Oh, wow.
hmm And then June 23rd, 1868, Latham Scholes, Carlos Glidden, and Samuel Sewell, maybe Soule, are awarded a patent for the typewriter, which would become the basis for the first practical and commercially successful typewriter, evolving into what would become known as the Scholes and Glidden typewriter, which later would become Remington number one. Remember Remington typewriters? Okay. One of the lasting legacy was the introduction of the QWERTY keyboard, which is still the most popular keyboard layout in the world today. Um, Popular theory states that the design of the QWERTY keyboard was intended to slow down typists in order to minimize the clashing of the type bars, which would jam up in the early typewriters. Uh, okay,
Really?
yeah.
I didn't know that was the reason. Go ahead.
Right. Well, there's little evidence to support this theory, however, and a research study published in 2011 asserts that the QWERTY design was more directly influenced by feedback from telegraph operators who were early adopters of typewriters and found previous keyboard layouts inefficient.
Mm.
Mm,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
yes, let's see. Okay, I'm going to skip that one. And I am going to this one. June 28th, 1955, the HMTS Monarch, the largest cable laying ship in the world at the time, launches from Clarenville, Newfoundland
Mm-hmm.
to begin
Newfoundland.
laying TAT 1, the first transatlantic telephone cable. TAT 1 would be inaugurated 15 months later on September 25th, 1956. TAT 1 may be best known for carrying the famous hotline between the United States and the Soviet Union during
Mm.
the Cold War.
Oh.
So they laid the first transatlantic telephone cable.
Mm-hmm.
And then this final story was dealing with history. June 28th, 2005, Apple releases the iTunes 4.9, the first version of iTunes to incorporate podcast subscribing
Yeah.
and listening. Podcasting was a growing phenomenon, and Apple realized it could both help to build the medium and also become the de facto podcast standard by linking it with incredibly popular iTunes and iPod platforms.
Mhm.
On this date, there were 3,000 podcasts available in the iTunes directory. And Apple's moves paid off. And as of 2021, there were over 2 million
Mm,
podcasts listed
really?
in the Apple Podcast directory, one
Wow.
of which is BizChicks.
Yes, it is.
Mhm. Apple's podcast platform is still considered the standard on which podcasters should publish their shows. All
Wow.
right.
Do
So
not despise small beginnings.
not at
Mm.
all, because from 3,000 to over 2 million, that's a lot. Let's see what we've got going on in tech making history. Uh, any questions or feedback about any of that before
I
I
think
jump?
that was really interesting about the typewriter and the fact
Yeah.
that I didn't know that telegraphers were one of the first adopters, but it makes sense.
Mm.
It makes sense because they're sending messages all the time.
So, the future of travel,
Mm.
and this is Electric Adventure, and this is Polaris. This is regarding Polaris. It says the sound of silence is now easier to find in Michigan's Upper Peninsula thanks to the introduction of all electric off road vehicles. That, among other perks, promises a quiet, exhaust free ride through 100 miles of trails in the famously scenic setting.
Hmm. That's
Very
nice.
interesting. Yeah. So Minneapolis-based power sports company Polaris recently teamed up with the state of Michigan to establish an EV charging network across the trails that traverse four communities in the UP's Ontonagon County, a project that they're billing as the first of its kind.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Um, they say we've been on a pretty intense journey to learn about what electrification brings to power sports. And one of the things that we latched on to really early in that process was our customers had very little interest in electrification just for electrification.
Mm-hmm.
They found that the customers were also interested in the benefits: no exhaust fumes or emission, fewer maintenance needs, faster acceleration, and a quieter riding experience.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, so like that's like a four-wheeler. Normal four-wheelers uh are are loud,
Yes.
and you're okay. Now you can hear the birds while you ride. Okay.
That's nice.
All right, let's see. What else do I want to talk about? Temperature warnings. Is that all I got for you today? Um,
Good morning, Dr. Tachi.
hey, Dr. T.
Good morning.
Yeah,
Good morning.
I think I'll end it there.
Okay.
And Terry, I'm gonna let you take your spot. And yeah.
And let me cue this up. Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for tuning in today. I just
Mhm.
wanted to share something with you because I think I talked about this during the pandemic. That I thought that what we should have is a master teacher, and then everyone else, all the other teachers around the country could facilitate their classrooms and help those young people who were needed additional help or they could point out different things in the lesson because they'd be able to stop the video or whatever. So this is something that happened during the pandemic that I Well, I'm just going to share it with you because I watch Kids News with Lester Holt
Mhm.
and on NBC, and this comes from there. So let me see if I can share this. Share your screen. Can you guys see that? Let
Yeah.
me. Okay, and I'm going to turn on the sound before I do anything, and then go from there.
From adding and subtracting to multiplying fractions and beyond, let's face it, math can be a difficult subject for some students. That's why Mrs. Kelly, a 6th grade math teacher from Rosenberg, Texas, took to TikTok to help her students during the pandemic.
We're gonna add integers, let's get it.
And much to her surprise, the videos went viral.
I never thought about being a TikTok star. Knowing that there's so many people interested in math or just love the type of videos I was creating, it was amazing.
Mrs. Kelly now has over 1 million followers on her TikTok account, and her students are feeling the impact firsthand in the classroom.
4 goes into 88, 22 times, 4 goes into 4. So then our answer is just 22, all right?
I really like math right now, and I think that's a lot to do with Miss Kelly, because if you asked me that question even a year ago, I would have said it was my least favorite subject.
Math is my favorite subject, first of all, because Miss Kelly is my teacher.
I remember seeing a adding integers one with the negative numbers, and she did these cool counter things where she crossed out each of the counters to equal the total. And I thought, wow, that's really cool, especially because I was struggling with integers at the time. So a lot of her videos really help me whenever I'm struggling with something.
She also helps me with integers and whole numbers when I watch her videos, because I used to struggle with that, but now I'm amazing at it.
I think it's cool because, like, who has a teacher that has 1 million followers?
Today, we are gonna have a clown day.
While Mrs. Kelly's 6th grade class is learning from her creative teaching methods,
Hello, I'm Mrs. Kelly.
kids around the world are learning from her too, thanks to a program called MathStream.
And it's going the same distance, then it would end up right here. MathStream is a program on Carnegie where they have certified math teachers. So myself and other math teachers are, creating videos. I like this program because, you're using a real life math teacher and you're able to even connect with them in some kind of way. As a student to the teacher, you can see the personality in the video and you tend to just grow and learn with that teacher. So it's almost like having 2 teachers in the classroom.
At Bailey Middle School in Spring, Texas, teachers and students are benefiting from MathStream in a big way.
I like MathStream because, MathStream, when I get a question, if I get it wrong or right, it gives me the opportunity to see why it's wrong and why it's right. And that's why I like it.
It feels great because all that work and stress that you put into it, thinking you're not going to get it, and once you finally get it, feels awesome.
And the absolute value of 0 is 0.
MathStream has been a wonderful addition to our math curriculum. When I'm in a small group at a back table with my kids, I'm able to put my students onto MathStream. They're able to receive a reteach of the lesson that I taught for the day. I'm able to watch MathStream as well, and I'm able to get ideas as far as how to relay the information or the concept to my kids. So it's been beneficial to me as well as the students.
And the proof is in the testing.
MathStream is new to us this year. We just finished our map testing of the end of the year, and I have seen huge gains in about 80% of my students from every population. I even had a kid that was first mid-year, scored 205 and ended the year at a 292, and she was one of the ones that was heavy into MathStream.
Try another one on your own. This time you will also calculate the perimeter. Give it a go.
When 8th grader Jennifer Borjas moved from Honduras, MathStream helped her get up to speed with her peers.
When I moved here, I had never worked with something like MathStream. So it was a long time for me to catch up with math class. So it helped me a lot because I started practicing at home.
What's more, Mrs. Kelly's MathStream lessons are helping young girls in particular gain confidence in the classroom.
When I was trying to give up on math, when I came here because I didn't really get it, it made me think like if she can't, I can too, so I can do it too. She gave me the motivation I needed for math. I think that lets the girls to think like they can do it too.
She's like giving like a role model for them to like girls can do whatever they want. Like they could do math, they could do English. It's not all about boys. Like girls could do it too.
Miss Kelly looks like me.
As always, practice makes progress.
And Mrs. Kelly has a special message for students around the world.
I'm just thankful that you're learning something, even if it's just, 1 + 1 is 2. So just keep practicing because, practice makes progress.
This is for you, Miss Kelly. Practice makes progress.
Wow. You're muted, I think.
Oh,
Fran.
I'm sorry.
I
So
mean,
what did you think?
I thought it was awesome.
It was the concept that just made sense to me. Why not get someone who's really good at conveying the message, let them be the messenger, and the teacher be the in-class facilitator? And there it was. I was so excited when I saw this.
It's wonderful because math is really a daunting subject for that. That's not my strong suit. I always
It's
tell
not mine
people I did well enough to get through, but words.
I
are
loved geometry.
Yes. Okay.
When we got trig into algebra 2, I was like, what?
And see, here in New York State, we had something that was a combination. So we had Regents classes, which were determined by the State University of New York. So you could take regular departmental classes, but if you tested in, you were able to take Regents courses. So there was course 1, course 2, and course 3. So course 1 was a mixture of like algebra and geometry. Course 2. So what they did is they mixed them in these things, which made it 10 times harder. So I'm like, boy, this is hard. So having something like that would have been amazing. I would have loved that. And then on a personal thing, I was laughing because, I'm looking and there are so many diverse students. Well, two things, so many diverse students, and sometimes diverse students don't get the help they need that way.
Yes.
And I remember the one little girl the one young woman who said, she looks like me.
She looks like me.
Representation is everything when it comes to you getting it as a student. And then thirdly, there was one young boy. He was Ghanaian. I could tell by his name. His parents were Ghanaian. So I'm picturing his when she said, she makes it fun. I was having problems with integers, and she makes it fun. And math is like my favorite subject. I'm picturing his parents saying, "You better say math is your favorite subject." So I'm just picturing them saying, "You better say that." So it's good to see that, and that was a delightful story. Thank you.
I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Hi, Yolanda. What did you think, Yolanda?
I really enjoyed the kids learning, and I'm with Dr. Tachi. Had I had that, I probably would be further along. And right now, I am of the pull out a calculator because I'm not trying to do all that hand. Oh no!
I just really thought it was engaging, and here's what I like too. The teacher said that the in-classroom teacher said, I can learn from MathStream how to convey the message better in a way that the kids will receive it.
Right, because that's probably the biggest part of the whole teaching thing is there are different people that have different ways of learning, and she made that look fun. And figured, I'm like, oh, integers, do what? And because she
when
has
she
a little
crossed that out, I said, what? I said the same thing, Fran. I was like, why didn't somebody tell me?
I was like, okay. Don't know what I would be using integers for right at this moment, I guess, unless I'm sending somebody to Mars. But it was really good. And then the kids will feel more confident and not frightened
Yes.
doing math.
It can be frightening. And
Exactly. Go
there,
ahead.
there was something else that I wanted to bring up, and I'm so excited. It's like left me, but the fact that this has not always been the case. Now I do understand with technology and those types of things, it's difficult to do that. I mean, but they could have done something like this back in the day with televisions and DVDs or VHS tapes or whatever the case. So that could have been done. It could have gone to a central place, had it recorded, and then send these out to different schools. You know, a lot of schools had a Channel One. I don't know if you remember
Yes.
that, but the Channel One was something that had like news for students, that type of thing. You can disseminate that type of stuff through something like a Channel One. So it was doable. They just didn't. And the fact that more schools don't do it now, maybe it's a part of it is a funding thing, but I think a lot of this is also an ego thing, that people have to get the credit for teaching what needs to be taught, especially if it goes well. And I'm not saying that's everyone, but especially in the US, we tend to be very individualistic. So even though we say it's about the collective getting it, it's really not. It's really about individual success. And so I think that's part of the problem with it. Doesn't matter who does it. So you can have an in-classroom teacher or facilitator, but if there's somebody who knows it better than you, especially when you have been tasked to teach all these courses. I went to Catholic school. So our teachers, like my first grade through eighth grade teacher, they taught all the subjects. Except when I got to seventh and eighth grade, they would split. But the point is, they were expected to know everything. You can't know all those things well.
And you can't love them all. And why not have people who love the subject be the messenger, especially if they have a great delivery. I found her very entertaining just in that short period of time. Oh, look at that. It's pajama day. She had on little pajamas. I was like, okay, cool. You know, I just think I'm with you, Dr. Tachi. Let's be creative. Let's get the message across. Don't shoot the messenger. And the grades did go up. Remember, the one girl went from 229 something to 292 on her math scores. So you get the credit in the end because funding is often attached to test scores.
Which is terrible, but that's another case.
That's the way they roll. So
yeah.
Yeah, I think that the technology being available, like Dr. Tachi said, it was there back in the day. The limit, you know, the VCR, there was ways to do it.
They wanted you to have fun in school.
That's what they told us, but okay.
You know what I mean? I don't know if they wanted you to be happy unless you were at PE or something.
But we could have had this. Hey, Silviana, we could have had this technology. Right, and I mean, even now the technology is there. Come on, now if we're doing what we're doing here, all they have to do is live stream it into a classroom.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because we've all got strengths and weaknesses. So yeah.
Yeah. So anywho, I thought it was really interesting. I was like, yeah, okay. So on we go. So we have TJ's story because TJ is not with us in person, but she is with us via video and the what is it called? The magic of AI.
I love it.
So we're going to roll TJ's stories, and then Dr. Tachi, you'll be up. And then I want us to kind of talk about, because we're still what is the word? Experimenting. This is what we do on Tech Live Weekly. We play with the tech and see how it came. So I created the stories. TJ sent her notes. I created her notes, took her notes, created a video based on her notes, and used her voice. So
Here we go.
Yeah, here we go.
With over 10,000
Hold
followers.
on. Let me start that
Media
again.
News. Meta's rolling out broadcast channels to pages with over 10,000 followers. Meta's expanding access to its broadcast channels feature, with all Facebook pages that have more than 10,000 followers now able to create their own channel on Facebook and Messenger. Meta has also added the capacity to share your channel messages from Instagram to Facebook. Automatically share updates from your Instagram channel to your Facebook channel, providing another way to expand the reach of your messages. Early access to channel content. Channel managers can now also publish Facebook posts to channel members before they go live on your page as an exclusive perk, while also giving you an opportunity to test posts before they go live more broadly. 2 stories. Creators and members can share channel content via Facebook stories with a dedicated sticker format. Creators on Instagram can also create a broadcast channel, but it's not available to everyone just yet. This announcement relates to broadcast channels on Facebook. Instagram experiments with chat widgets to prompt more engagement. Instagram's testing out another way to fuel more engagement in DMs, this time via chat widgets, which would enable you to add additional tools and indicators into your chat flow. Instagram is developing new chat widgets with a range of add-ons for your discussion, which could help to add more context, drive more engagement, and so on. The current chat widgets listed in development, not in public testing as yet, are countdown widget, create a countdown in the chat, time zone widget, display the local time of each chat participant, pin content widget, quickly access pin content. Instagram has not made a statement about availability as of yet. Threads users can now share to the open social web, also known as the Fediverse. Meta announced that it's now opening up its beta for sharing to the Fediverse to Threads users who are 18 and up and who are using Threads with a public account in global markets. The beta was first introduced in March, but was limited to 3 countries to start, including the US, Canada, and Japan. In a post on Threads, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg shared that the option is now available to more than 100 countries worldwide. Today, many people don't understand how the Fediverse works or what it means to federate your account across the open social web. But within Threads, Meta is offering an explainer that describes the Fediverse as a social network of interactive servers, informs users how sharing works, and answers some basic questions. In doing so, Meta may encourage more people to explore the Fediverse, including those who may have felt more intimidated by existing federated apps like Mastodon. Meta is also now allowing authors of federated posts to like and see replies from the wider Fediverse. However, the final step of being able to respond to those replies with replies of your own is not yet live. To turn on Fediverse sharing in Threads, you'll tap on the option in your account settings. It will be labeled Fediverse Sharing, Beta, and offers instructions and a link to Threads supplemental privacy policy. Snapchat's adding some new ways to keep users safe, with expanded restrictions on connections in the app, updated blocking tools, and new in-app warnings when previously reported users attempt to connect. Snap is adding new warning notes when users who've previously been blocked or reported by others attempt to connect. Users will now see an in-app warning when someone who's been reported by others attempts to connect. The warning will also be displayed if the user is from a region where the user's network isn't typically located. It could be a good way to filter out bad actors, especially repeat offenders seeking to connect with youngsters in the app. Snap already restricts its connection recommendations when users don't share any friends in common, and it will now also expand its restrictions on who can send friend requests based on shared connections and location. We will prevent delivery of a friend request altogether. When teens send or receive a friend request from someone they don't have mutual friends with, and that person also has a history of accessing Snapchat in locations often associated with scamming activity. This applies regardless of whether the friend request was sent out by a teen or sent to a teen from a potential bad actor. Snap says that this will help to expand its efforts to combat sextortion scams in the app by limiting connections from bad actors based on a broader range of parameters. Patreon introduces a gifting feature and other creator tools. Patreon, the paid membership platform for creators, announced Tuesday the release of new features designed to help creators monetize their non-paying followers and tap into new revenue streams. This includes the ability to sell individual posts, a gifting feature for creators to gift limited time subscriptions to fans, and promotional tools for sharing clips on social media. The new features reflect Patreon's ongoing efforts to expand beyond its role as a monetization platform. Last year, Patreon launched free membership options, enabling fans to follow their favorite influencers without having to commit to a monthly subscription. The company revealed in today's blog post that the move has already seen more than 30 million signups. Now Patreon is introducing one-time purchases for content like posts and collections, so followers can access paywall content without paying for a membership. The company previously allowed one-time purchases for various digital products such as videos, podcast episodes, and images. The platform is also testing a gifting offering that lets creators give limited time subscriptions to fans. For instance, influencers can send someone a 1-month membership as a gift for being a loyal follower. All of these new features will become available in the coming months, the company said. YouTube tests picture-in-picture viewing for shorts. YouTube's officially added picture-in-picture viewing for shorts, providing another way to consume shorts content, while it's also testing a new way to mention other users in comments, as well as shorts downloads for premium members. YouTube premium subscribers can minimize the shorts viewing window so that they can undertake other tasks on their device while also watching shorts clips. From YouTube, get ready to multitask like a pro with our new picture-in-picture feature for YouTube Shorts. On Android devices, you can watch your favorite shorts while browsing other apps or checking messages. It's perfect for staying entertained without missing a beat. Dive into endless fun with YouTube Shorts, now more flexible than ever. And that's your social media news for this week.
Well done, Fran. I love the way that came out. And so it was definitely TJ.
Like I said, there's another AI voice emulator, I guess, might be called. I don't know, where you can voice synthesizer. That sounded a lot more like her, but they did pretty good with this one.
Very good.
So the stories.
This week in social media news.
Oh, let me move
the stories. about uh, being able to, okay, I do not use the room. What is the thing for Instagram?
Threads? For Instagram.
So the channels, there's a lot
Yeah.
of stuff that I don't use with Instagram or Meta. I'm not on Snap, but I think putting in the safety features to help keep the kids safe is a good thing. Dr.
Absolutely.
Koch?
Yeah,
No.
I agree. I agree. And it is a constant battle and challenge for these social media companies to exist and still keep people safe, not just children, but people safe. Whenever
Right.
you have platforms that have large numbers of people utilizing them, that's always going to be something. And honestly, I think that's why we talk about personal responsibility. Well, where were the parents and things like that? It has to be a collaborative effort. So it certainly is going to have to be on the part of the companies. So these types of efforts are good, but parents and people also have to do their own part to make sure they're not doing things. I mean, just look at the fact, and this is a different type of safety, but when your like people's accounts get hacked, and
Yeah.
often it's because they're doing things that are like, you didn't see that coming with a screaming siren that this was not real. So us not be doing our due diligence when it comes to things, and because something says click, you click here, you click it. That's where we have to be careful.
And with that in mind, I was reading something, I think it was on Medium. A guy was saying, you know, he got scammed by, almost got scammed or something by these emails that come through. And it looks like it came from, you know, maybe PayPal, or, you know, you have money to be collected. We need you to contact us and blah, blah, blah. The whole idea is to get you to make that phone call. And so he looked at the header of the email, and it looked like it came from service at PayPal, but it really wasn't. And so, but he was, you know, he was thinking well, this looks legit. And but if they're telling you to call because, you know, we have some money for you, you'll need to call me. Just put the money in the account. You don't need to have a call. But you need to be really looking at stuff, because the scammers are getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately.
If you could only use your power for good, that takes a lot of time to figure out how to scam people and do it convincingly. You could have used that same time for something else. I know that's cliche, but to me, it just doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't. So to recap, Meta was rolling out broadcast channel to pages with over 10,000 followers. And I guess broadcast channels, is that where you have, is that like a group of people where?
It is. It's like a group. So you find the channels in the same place where you have your messages. And so creators can make channels for people to follow with, I don't know, exclusive information and those types of things. So when it first came out, everybody was doing it, and I still get some requests, you know, to join channels, and I'm like, listen, I'm part of 4, and that's all I care to be part of, because it becomes too much.
Right.
It gets to be so much, and this is something that you have to be careful of. Instagram is going to have to weigh these things carefully, because you're going to get fatigue. We want features, but there's going to be fatigue, and all of these things are because they don't want to pay creators directly. Let's be honest. So they're wanting you to cultivate these communities, you to have these channels, you to have subscriptions so people can. All of this requires that they don't have to pay you out anything for making content. It's your audience, which I'm okay with, but then it's like, all of us are doing this for free. What are you doing? Okay, maybe you're providing server space, but we don't have to be there. So, whole other thing, but interesting to look at nonetheless.
Yeah. They also added the capacity to share channel messages from Instagram to Facebook. Don't we already do that?
Not with the channels, I don't think.
Okay, so with the broadcast channels, you're not doing it. Okay.
No,
Uh,
I don't. I didn't think there was that capacity.
Oh,
Well,
okay.
now they've added the capacity to share your channel messages from Instagram to Facebook,
Yeah, who
automatically share
cares?
updates to
Yeah,
your Facebook channel. Okay. All
great.
right. And you can, for stories, creators and members can share channel content via Facebook and stories with a dedicated sticker format. See, this is almost like math to me.
Exactly. I need someone. I need an interpreter. Okay.
Because I was like, okay. And then so they're going to put widgets in chat widgets so you can get a custom countdown. Why? Okay.
I don't know. I was thinking the same thing when you said it.
And so, or you can get a time zone widget to display the local time of each chat participant. Again, why?
So we'll know what time it is in Sweden. I don't know.
Okay.
But what do we always say on this show?
Who asked for
Who
that?
asked
Thank
for
you.
that?
Thank you. Thank you.
And then, okay, so now Threads being able to share to the Fediverse. The Fediverse is trigonometry right now, because why? Again, and I understand they're getting ready for a larger, a time when it's going to be more accepted.
And a
Today is not
closed
that day.
universe, maybe.
Yeah,
Their own
well,
little
today is not
closed-
that day. So Dr. Tachi has more insight on that whole sphere, but okay, because Mastodon was confusing when I went over there.
I never even really got on there because I have to see utility, and not that there is not utility, but I have to see utility for me in a platform before I say yes, okay. And even though, because I'm like you all, I love to play around in the tech sphere and see what's what and see, okay, how can I use this? But then at a point it becomes too much, especially if it's a replication of things that we already have. And then I'm already, so I was a huge Twitter user before. Twitter chats, all huge. But it started to wane in recent years. And then since Muskrat took over, I really haven't been over there much at all. And so because I'm all out of practice with the use of that, nothing that has that same type of feature is really appealing to me. Hence, I'm really not on Threads that much. I probably should be, but I'm like, and it's like, you have X new followers. That's nice.
Yes. And then Patreon is doing some stuff so the followers can it's kind of like the one that Meta is doing, the channels. It's the same. Patreon, if you follow somebody on Patreon, you now have an opportunity to follow with a paid subscription or follow for free, and you don't get so much stuff. Okay.
Well, Patreon was the original channels.
Right.
Meta just saw what everybody, they do, what they do, master of none. They see something that works someplace else and they try to incorporate it in that. And I'm not necessarily mad at them for that, but I am a patron of 4 Patreon accounts. And there's actually only one that I pay for. I paid for the year because it wasn't that much. And so you do see, you even as a free member, for many of them, you do get quite a lot of things. Like one of them, I like all kinds of music, but I like jazz. Remember Brian Brian Culbertson?
Yes, I remember him.
Yeah, if you follow smooth jazz, remember in the 90s, the smooth jazz movement was huge. Even around like younger people like us, it's like, what are kids doing listening to smooth jazz? But we did. So Brian Culbertson is an amazing pianist, guitar, trumpeter. He plays a lot of different instruments, and he has a show on YouTube that he does every Friday called The Hang if he's not like touring. So you could get in there and hang out, and he plays like a whole concert and talks and laughs with us. It's amazing. And he will do birthday shout outs and anniversary shout outs for people that are paid members of the Patreon, because you can only like respond to, you can see the post, but you can't respond and interact unless you're you have a paid membership. So it works really well. It's a good way to raise funding for yourself if you're a creator. I like it.
Yeah, and so everybody is trying to borrow that model. Some do it better than others, but that's the model. And YouTube has now done that. So people can, if you're a super fan, I think it is, you can give some money, or you can become a part of the channel by giving a monthly, get a subscription. I signed up for somebody's channel and I was like, I'm not getting anything. I need to, if I'm paying $5 a month, there should be some
value
updates that I'm not getting by watching the YouTube channel work.
Yeah. That's the thing too with that, is that if you're going to take on something like a Patreon or do channels or do subscriptions, on IG, you can have people subscribe, right? And subscribers can get access to things. You have the same thing. You have subscribers on YouTube, but then you have something, I forgot what it's called, but you could actually pay to get some memberships. So all of these social platforms have these avenues, but you have to have something above and beyond what you normally offer if you expect people to pay $3, $5, $10 or any amount per month, even if it's $1.99. It better be something more than what you usually do. So then you have to sit down and say, all right, well, how do I want to handle this? Do I want to take a lot of what I've already been doing, or some of what I've been already doing, and put it behind a paywall? But then is that fair to the people who have been following you all this time and you've been giving all this value? So you as a creator have to sit down and say, okay, how am I going to do this? I'm doing this for free. I would like to be able to get paid, but what do I put behind the paywall? So it's a good model if you have something of value to offer.
Value, what a concept. and that does not mean offer your next shoe line or something. Don't offer me something to buy in your pay behind the paywall,
or get on the wait list for the next drop of then you're still wanting me to buy something. No.
Yeah, so that was really interesting.
I think we lost you.
Oh, I'm still here.
But,
so then YouTube is testing the picture-in-picture viewing for shorts. Now, I don't understand how that works, because the shorts are so short that you have to pay attention to it to see what's going on most of the time. So how can you do two things at once? Just don't.
Don't fix what's not broken.
Say again.
Don't fix what's not broken.
I understand the picture-in-picture for like a longer video and you're working on your desk and the video's up in the corner, but the short is so short that would be a distraction for me. To have how to do, and what am I watching that's that short that I'm still working on something else, because normally the shorts are not something of education. Well, I mean, they are educational, but not to the point. It's not like listening to waterfalls while I'm working.
Yeah, it's like white noise.
But the shorts are not going to be that way anyway. And they said, get ready to multitask like a pro with our new picture-in-picture feature for YouTube Shorts. You can watch your favorite shorts while browsing other apps or checking messages.
No thanks. But you can already kind of do that, because if you minimize, like if you're watching YouTube, right, and you minimize it on your phone, it still plays. So that's kind of, I don't know if that's exactly what they mean, but it's still, you know what? If you like it, I like it for you. That's fine.
Okay, and that might be one of those other who asked you to do that.
Exactly. Who asked for this?
Well, and then, okay, so that's TJ's social media reports for the week. And so, Dr. Tachi, you have the floor, and we'll bring your video up as well.
Okay, well, not yet.
Okay, well,
Yeah,
when you let us know.
Okay, sure. Well, good morning, ladies. You know what? I always forget that it's early for you. Right now, it's a 9 a.m. Huh?
Yeah.
Over on the West Coast. So, good morning, West Coast.
Attempt to.
Hold on. Excuse me.
That's okay. No worries. So, we have a few things going on. I did want to. Where is it? Ah, there we are. So unfortunately, we have Arrest Well. I don't know if any of you know the work of Sid and Marty Krofft. They did the basically the puppet shows with puppets and things like Land of the Lost, the Bugaloos, and all of that. So if you ever watch Land of the Lost, which was one of my favorites, it was about Marshall. I remember the theme song, but Marshall, Will, and Holly, they were on an expedition somewhere, and they fell down a waterfall on their raft, and they ended up in the Land of the Lost, where it was like a land before time kind of. There were dinosaurs and things. And so I loved it. Now, again, all of those, the Land of the Lost was on like in the late 60s, early 70s. So I was watching it in reruns when I was little. So Spencer Mulligan, he starred as Uncle Will in the first 2 seasons of Land of the Lost. And he passed away at the age of 86. Yeah, no, that's unfortunate. But it's a great show. I would love to be able to watch some Sid and Marty Krofft shows on rerun. In fact, Sid Krofft has an Instagram account, and he goes live often, and he'll do interviews with puppeteers from like the Land of the Lost and things like that. So if you're interested in Sid and Marty Krofft, Sid Krofft is still kicking, and he does lives usually like on Saturdays. But yeah, so rest well to him. I know a lot of people, unless you watch Land of the Lost, you may not know. But yeah, there we go. Okay, so off of that, I know you ladies might know Green Lantern, right?
Yes, I do.
Book.
Well, Green Lantern is getting a series, and it's a go at HBO. Well, what are they, Max now? So it's a go at HBO, but now they're Max. So they've given a straight to series order for Lanterns, which is based off of the long running Green Lantern characters, specifically John Stewart and Hal Jordan from DC Comics. So, yeah, for those of you that are Green Lantern fans, Lanterns is coming. And this is almost 5 years after the development of this. They started developing this 5 years ago. Now, they're using one of the writers from the 2011 Green Lantern feature film, and someone who worked on the DC show Arrow.
Okay.
That was on the CW. You know, at one point, the CW had every DC comic show go. In fact, that's all. I'm like, do they do anything else but show DC comic based shows?
I don't know.
I never watched and I still don't watch the CW, but you know, it is what it is. So Green Lantern is green lit and will be coming sometime soon to HBO. All right, now I want to talk about this, but I'm not going to talk about it in the political sense per se. We all know that something happened last night, and last night would be the first presidential debate that took place between the current President Joe Biden and one that was a president before, You know, I don't like to say his name. So it took place, and this is it. There was a lot of commentary about it, so we don't have to go the political route. But what was interesting to me was the reporting, because CNN actually banned White House pool reporters from the debate room. Now, both the Biden team and the others team said it was okay if the regular White House pool was there, but CNN said no, and so that it was going to be closed.
Oh,
yeah. So, but the press pool they had was made up of representatives from major news organizations like Reuters, and some others. But here is where the concern came in: the fact that there were no Black press there.
oh, interesting.
Absolutely. So this is a problem. This is a problem. And they said then, when it comes to this, the network said in a statement that they are a member of the White House, the WHCA, the White House Correspondents Association, and they respect the role that the group plays to further press freedom and access. But the debate was being held without an audience in a CNN studio and is closed to the press. O'Donnell says this, Lawrence O'Donnell: precedent matters for future debates, alluding to the fact that this face-off again is in September. So the National Association of Black Journalists asked CNN to give accreditation to reporters from local Black news-owned or local Black-owned news organizations after none of Atlanta's Black news groups got credentials to be on site for the debate. So
And it was in Atlanta.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So my thing is, Atlanta is, for all intents and purposes, Chocolate City. How do you not have any Black news organizations or any other BIPOC news organizations, for that matter, present there, even though it was in a closed studio? Well, then maybe what should have happened is it should not have been in a closed studio. It should have been in some place that could have accommodated press. The way press organizations determine the way things are seen. Everyone has a particular slant. They all report in a different way, even if the information is the same. And so now you've cut off a whole community from that. Not that they couldn't watch on CNN or anything else, but yeah. So I think that was a bad move. That was a horrible move on CNN's part.
Wow. Interesting. Well, I think they requested a closed studio. I think that was one of Biden's things. I think that he didn't want a bunch of jeering from, different audience.
Well, but there was no audience. You don't have to have an audience, but you can still accommodate press, because that is
and that piece was big enough to accommodate anybody.
That's what it looked like to me. But there were,
it was like a stadium.
According to this, they're like, well, it was in a closed studio. No, you just didn't want CNN. You wanted to be the only ones there because you wanted an exclusive. But it wasn't just CNN. There were other major news organizations. But the thing is, you slighted this. So here's my thing. When it comes to smaller news organizations, whether they are melanated or non-melanated, I think that you have to decide. It's important to be in the room at these spaces, but then it's like, what ends up having to happen is you need to make your own opportunities for these things to happen. You all are trying to get Black votes. Well, what these news organizations need to do is come together and say, oh, well, we're having our own town hall and stuff, and we request and require you come. If you don't, you'll see what happens. It's a huge slight when these things happen. They're trying to get Black votes. So when these types of things happen, that's fine. CNN runs the show, they're fine. You can say what you want. Instead of fighting them because they're not thinking with a full deck anyway, go ahead and start something that's your own, whether it's a town hall, whether it is another type of debate. But Black news organizations should then get together and say, all right, well, this is how we're doing it. Or it doesn't just have to be Black. It can be BIPOC in general. And I hate that term because I wasn't at the table and I did not approve it when they called us BIPOC. But yeah, so that's what I think anyway.
Yeah, what was interesting? It was very interesting because the questions, the whole. I'm like, who picked the questions? And
you know,
it was just interesting.
And I watched very little of it because here's another thing that we all have to be aware of. While we do need to know these things, you also have to protect your peace, and you also need to expose yourself to information that is going to be helpful.
Right. And my take was, if y'all blaming one another, nobody is telling me what you're going to do to fix stuff. So.
Right. The key thing is to answer the question. And honestly, this is another thing, and this is a problem with not having civics in the schools in this country, with it being taken out. People don't understand the way the process works. So while having a figurehead as the president is important, the president is not the person who makes law.
Right. And so the whole, it's your fault we're here. No, it's your fault we're here. I was like, okay. Nobody, we have, was it Congress makes the rules?
It's Congress. The legislative branch makes the rules.
It's only a bill here on Capitol Hill.
And we learned that from ABC School Rock, right?
Yes.
So I was like, I loved it because I learned how, so now I know better. Yeah, I learned the process.
Exactly. Well, you don't have those types of things anymore, and they don't have civics in the schools. So, where do you learn it if not in the 2 seconds that teachers have to teach it in American history or social studies or whatever they call it these days? So that's an issue, that people don't know how the system works, and therefore they think that the president is the end all and be all, and that's not really the case. What people need to, not to make it political, but what people need to be paying attention to is that all 400 some odd seats are up in Congress and the House are up for re-election. Those are the people that matter. Those are the ones that are really going to matter. So you have to pay attention to, if this idiot didn't do anything for you or your state or your district while they were there, they need not go back. Not on my
right. Is that, who was that went to Washington? Mr. Dodds goes to Washington or something, and I can't remember. Mr. Smith, Mr. Dodds, somebody went to Washington, and he was hearing it from all the constituents. We need you to talk about this. We want you to talk about this, and that's what it's supposed to be. You're supposed to tell your senator, congressperson, they have a phone line and you can leave them messages.
They don't listen. Anyway.
I know, but the point is, that's where it starts. When you said who you elected. Now, if everybody agreed that we want this and we want you to say this and represent us this way, and then they don't do it, they don't get a do-over.
Exactly. So and this is what we have to realize. This is where all of the power sits. So regardless of who is in office as the president, things only move or don't move if you have a functioning Congress. So yeah, that's the learn civics, folks. That's all I have to say. Learn civics for those of you who are interested, and everybody should be interested. Okay.
And Trucker Mayad 444 says Arrow was good.
Oh, hey, Trucker Mayad. Was there? I never watched Arrow.
I watched Arrow on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, because I didn't have the 31 or whatever, but Netflix had it, and it was interesting. It's kind of like Arrow, Daredevil. Everybody's got a somebody that's doing something. I was like, okay.
And the thing is, I'm more of a Marvel Cinematic Universe person than I am DC, with the exception of Batman. I do enjoy, a good Batman movie, but I'm really Marvel. So, but yeah, maybe I'll check it out. Maybe one day when I'm, sitting still, I'll check it out. All right. So remember Fran and Terralina, you guys had Terralina, I think it was actually you that brought up the story about AI in the newsroom, that AI news broadcast.
Yeah, Channel 1. Yes.
News 1.
News 1, yeah, Channel 1, something 1. So here is a new survey that shows that audiences are warming up to AI news content, even though they remain skeptical. And it is a spectacle. So Smith Geiger did a survey of the quarter 2 2024, and the results reveal that audiences are still skeptical, but they're gradually warming up to AI generated news content, which is interesting, right? So it's not necessarily talking per se about a newscast anchored by AI generated beings, but this is within the same strain. So they sampled 2,036 adults between the ages of 18 and 64 to represent the general population in the US. And they, and actually this stuff provides really good stuff for TV station group owners, business leaders in tech and media, etc. So these were some of the highlights from the survey. 32% of respondents were aware of AI being used for news content creation. 58% of the survey participants believe that AI may do more harm than good. Okay. 50% felt either positive or neutral about AI usage in news content creation. So 23% was positive, 27% was neutral in that case. There were concerns about job displacement that remain prevalent. Audiences interested in news-related uses for AI increased from August of last year to May of this year, with AI, with using AI to create hyper-local newscasts, like for traffic, weather being the most popular. So this is interesting, because while they may not mind it for things like traffic and weather, they may mind it for other types of information. So males, 39%, were more aware of AI use in the news than females, or men and women, only 25%. Younger age groups showed higher acceptance of AI, with 45% of males aged 18 to 34 being the most aware. Asian Americans had the most positive outlook about AI in news, 38% expressing positive feelings. Older groups tended to be more skeptical, with the lowest acceptance among women aged 50 to 64. Only 20% were aware of AI use in news. White respondents showed the highest level of negativity, with 57% expressing negative feelings about AI in news. Now, this surprised me.
For real, because anyway, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
I am too. So, but here's the thing. This has been looked at before. And so there's some slight bumps in some area. But overall, the results, as you can hear, still show that there's some trepidation about using AI or trusting AI in news.
Okay, they were lying in news before. I mean, okay, let me redo that. If there was trust issues with news before AI, when AI comes, that just it exhausts. Okay, I'm trying to find a word. It's even more so now, because before we had all of these, we have citizen journalists and different things, and it's like, okay.
Yeah, you know, I think the interesting thing is the fear when it comes to this, because you would think if we're looking at this from an objective sense, that okay, well, AI is technology. People think technology tends to be neutral, and so that there would be more quote truthfulness when it comes to that, but it was just the opposite because of the fear, right, of AI and what it can do and what it could bring. So but I think we also have to remember that the same news you did not trust before is not that is programmed, that AI is programmed by the same people. But remember, AI is trained on other things that already exist. Do you think they're not training them on news programs and things that exist? Of course they are. So I think there's careful stepping that needs to be done all the way around. But this type of attitude, and I'm not saying you have to embrace fully, but this type of attitude is why we will always be last when it comes to these types of things. We will always be last technologically. And you always hear, you never hear, I should say, any type of technology agenda when it comes to the future direction of the US by anybody that's running. Most people are not talking about technology per se, technological development, things like infrastructure development. Definitely because, and I understand there are pressing issues that affect the everyday, and the average person is not thinking into the future of, oh, in this year, because they may not care because we're so present centric rather than future centric. So I found this interesting, but we'll see what this looks like when they do it again in 5 years.
5 years, it'll be somebody else telling us the story of how it'll be the AI telling the story.
Let me express my concern. Right now, we just went through a whole thing of ethics within the news industry. AI generated character is not going to complain, whistleblow, none of that. We're not going to know what's going on in the background once they get these fictitious personalities that people have connected with, because they never age. They're going to be like Vanna White, look the same for the next 200 years. Never gain weight, never have children, never get sick. They're there every freaking day disseminating information. I have a real problem with that because I don't know what's really going on with the managers of the broadcasting studio.
Yeah.
So I'm saying to you that may push people towards smaller venues for real information where real people are interacting.
That is a valid point altogether. That is a very valid point. I think the push for things like AI, etc., is also because of the cost effectiveness. It costs a lot.
Exactly. You don't have to pay them at all.
You don't have to pay them at all. The most local news stations are affiliates of networks, right? And they don't produce any programming except news and news related shows. Those types of shows to produce require money. If you do a day, and not just daily, many of these affiliates, they're doing like several times daily broadcasts. Now, granted, sometimes the 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock news is a repeat of 5 o'clock unless something new has happened, but it still costs to put together. So you could say they're doing at least 2 or 3 good brand new broadcasts per day. That costs money.
Yep.
So we'll see what happens with that. All right. Let's talk a little bit about Swiss Beats and Timbaland. So Swiss Beats and Timbaland, and let's do a little bit of the backstory. Swiss Beats and Timbaland, as you know, started Verzuz in the middle of the pandemic. And Verzuz, for those people who don't know, is basically like a matching or a match off between two artists in the same genre. They had some regulation in terms, or some rules in terms of, they had to have at least, was it at least 10 albums or something to that effect? So they had to have a good catalog of songs to be able to do it. So it started off on Instagram during the pandemic, of one artist paired off against another, and they would listen to their hits. And it was really great. I think the first one I watched was Jill Scott and Erykah Badu, which was a beautiful experience. So it gets super, super popular. And they're doing these, basically these match offs every month. And then, you know, the pandemic starts to lift up a little bit, and they're able to do some of these things in person. Well, Triller wants some of this magic. And so they acquired Versus, and I can't remember the dollar amount right now, but they did. But Swiss Beats and Timberland stayed on like in advisory roles. Well, they bungled that, because soon after we're like, well, what's this? So Triller, actually, their big thing was getting into like MMA fights. So I think they were trying to mash everything together, and it just wasn't working. So I don't know what the real story is, but anyway, Timberland and Swiss Beats now own Versus 100% again. So they acquired it back from them, and they own it 100%. And they said, we are back. We're going to get onto it. And now it will be exclusively on X. Well, that didn't sit well with some folk, and me included, because we already know that X is basically a platform full of hatred. It's full of other things, but there's full of bullying and hatred. And basically, your friend Elon Musk has kind of turned a blind eye to some of these things. And so because of that, there were a lot of comments that people had on there. Let me see if I can find some of these comments that they had to say. Well, first of all, they posted a picture, Swiss Beats and Timberland together with Elon Musk, and they were sipping martinis or whatever they were doing on a yacht. And this was real Swiss Beats that did it. He said, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. It's official. Versus is back, and 100% Black owned again. Let's give the people what's been missing. We will also be building new entertainment businesses on the X platform. Who should kick off the first show? Let's go Versus on X. And then happy Juneteenth after that. I mean, the epitome of insult, if you think about it. So again, people were calling them sellouts. One person on Twitter says, the moment I really understand that our faves are nothing more than tools of capitalism chosen to sell us stuff. Their wealth is theirs. They are in that class now with those people. They are not like us, guys. Seriously. Happy Juneteenth. So it's like the audacity to do that on Juneteenth. Somebody also said the culture is fractured. Grifters will grift when the right opportunity is presented for them to prosper. This is all about I and not about we. Don't be fooled. And the audacity to announce it on today is laughable. So he's posted some responses to the criticism. And he posted something while they were at Cannes on the French Riviera saying, we will show you better than tell you. Okay. But I also read some of the commentary, and somebody posted something about you being disappointed, and it wasn't, in a rude way, just being disappointed. And Swiss Beats said, yet here you are responding about them being on X. And he says, yet here you are responding on X with a laughing emoji. And I'm like, while that may be true, you're missing the bigger picture here. Listen, I'm not expecting these celebrities to be intellectuals, but I need you to show a little bit of intellectualism, which is not a word, but I need you to show that when it comes to these things. You have a platform owned by a person that has a questionable tactics and a questionable past, yet you use the platform that he owns to bring something that brought us together during the pandemic. Where is the irony lost on you? This is why I'm like, everybody shouldn't run for president. Everybody shouldn't be speaking on things, because clearly it's lost on you. Clearly it's lost on you. Now, I'm also not one that thinks that just because you're black, things have to be done a certain way and everything is for the culture and you cannot prosper. I'm not saying that. But when you blatantly violate those rules, that's where I have a problem. Thoughts, ladies?
Wow.
The pandemic is over. We probably do not remember what you did. And now you're trying to revive that again. Did people ask for them to come back with that?
Listen, we forgot all about verses, if you ask me.
And that's my point. We did. We're like, why? We didn't ask you to come back. We thank you when you did it, but okay, for everything there's a season.
Yes.
Okay, that season has passed.
Yeah, you know what? Maybe I think it's good that you have it back in your hands, but maybe you can do something different with it. Maybe you can. I'm thinking on a foundation level, like a Versus Foundation, which goes to fund, musical dreams and fund maybe inner city children in music, that type of thing. But on the level of doing matchups again, that's something that could work, but you really would have to think about it, because here's the thing, you want to do it on X. That would be the exclusive place to watch it. Now, I don't know if there will be additional, but I know that the article said exclusive to X. It wasn't a good experience. Sorry, go ahead.
And is that only if you have a paid check on your...
Good question. They never said that. I have no clue, because I have another story where X is getting ready to do some stuff. But that's a good question. I would think that would not be advantageous for them to charge for that, because guess what? We've already forgotten about it, and now you want to charge me for something I forgot about? No.
Yeah.
No. I just want to say, hey, Tora, good to see you.
How are things down there in Houston? Because I've had some weather. I pray all is well with you.
Hey, Tora.
I think about you every time they talk about what's going on down there in the Gulf.
It's good to have you here. So, I don't know if this is a good idea. Did they test the waters to see if anybody was really wanting it to come back?
Do they ever ask people what they want? I think many of these people are not good read the room people. They just hot. They just go with what they think people want, or more so what they want to do. So it was big and it was hot for a while. We could revive this again. Nobody asked. I don't even know if they're looking. Okay, so what's the next big thing? What's the next big thing? The only thing I could think of now is that they stopped looking, because what they had done really is everybody who was on Versus was all basically people that really had hits in the 90s and early 2000s. So they've amassed a catalog, right? So the only thing I think they could do is look at, all right, well, there was this recent, quote, beef between Kendrick Lamar and Drake. So why don't we get Kendrick Lamar and Drake on a Versus? So those are the only things that I could immediately think of. But I don't know. I can't blame them for trying, but I also you need not be tone deaf. You need to read the room, see what people are doing, see what's been going on since Versus has been gone. And I'm sure they're looking at that, but you've got to look at things very differently. And here's the thing. Instagram, Twitter type of thing, that's not going to cut it anymore. You need to take it to YouTube.
Now, that might have been a better fit, because to drag somebody off of somewhere else, you're asking me to go into Twitter. And for me to get into Twitter, I have to have an account. I actually have to set up an account and go through all the shenanigans that Twitter wants me to do in order to watch something over there. But with YouTube, you click a link
Exactly.
Yeah. Tora has comments. She says, "Do you think they feel if I jump on the bandwagon, the rest of the sheep will show up and follow to give it traction?"
That could possibly be what they're thinking, that if you build it, they will come. If we jump on the bandwagon with all these other things, they will come. But I think even though people are not that bright, people are also bright. So I think we don't give enough credit to audiences. We're smart enough to know what works. We're smart enough to know what we like. You're really going to have to, again, because there's so many competing things. In the time that they came up with Versus, they were original because there was nothing else like that out there. All of the things. Go ahead.
And we were stuck.
Yeah, that's another thing.
And where did they do? They did Versus where, on Instagram?
It started on Instagram, yes.
Okay, so why not go back to the platform you were on?
Well, Instagram doesn't have vision. There was no way they would have been able to do a deal like this, like with what they did with Elon Musk. But Elon Musk doesn't care about them either. He's trying to revive his tired little platform and get eyes over there as well, because advertising is all but dried up over on Twitter.
I believe that.
So he's trying to get something. He's trying to do some amazing things there to to turn it into something else. And by amazing, I don't mean good amazing. But I think that YouTube, and I don't know that they did not do this, but they would have been better to approach YouTube about doing this. The experience is so much better. I don't want to sit there and watch anything on a phone vertically. And this is the pandemic. The height of the pandemic is not here anymore. I don't have to watch what is presented to me. There are lots of great things that came up during the pandemic, but I think also because we were sequestered, some stuff that came up during the pandemic may not be as wonderful as we think. I'm not saying that about Versus at all, but I'm saying when you only have peanuts, of course it's going to taste like steak to you.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Tora said, "I wouldn't advertise my yard sale on X, let alone my business."
Exactly. Why are you taking? I don't know why we keep begging people to partner with us and take our money that clearly don't respect who we are. And so I asked on Mediascope, so how many of you will this affect whether or not you'll watch Versus? And a lot of my audience said, I'm not tuning into X to watch Versus. And I didn't ask the reason why. It could be a combination of philosophical reasons, for respect reasons, and also the fact that the experience is not that great. It wasn't great with Instagram, but you dealt with it because there was nothing else. But now that you have other things, why would you go back to that same vertical phone experience? Give me YouTube. Come on.
Yeah. YouTube is easy access, and they don't have the bar set so where you're jumping through so many hoops to be able to enjoy the content.
Exactly. So that's what's going on there. But I do have another X story. Here's the thing. And so this is a media. So X, this is how we know the man is strapped for cash. They're making live streaming a premium feature.
Oh.
Yes.
Right. So when does that go into effect? Because I know we're live streaming right now on X, but
Correct. I don't have information about when it's going to go into effect because they just say starting soon. So they say starting soon, only premium subscribers will be able to live stream on X. This includes going live from an encoder with X integration,
which is us.
So if you're using something like Stream, if you're any encoder, you are not going to be able to go live to X unless you have a premium account. So X did not offer any explanation for the change at all. So it's a case of Musk wanting to charge for simple features, right? Things that you should have anyway. live streaming is a given. You should have that as a platform. So now you're charging for that. So it seems like they're charging for every little thing. And part of the thing is because you paid what, 44 billion for? Who told you to do that? And I understand it's not 44 billion cash. I get it. But
okay,
Well,
this
it reminds me of the airline industry. Now,
Spirit
you know,
Airline is. Should we not name names? Okay, well, I'm naming names. It's like $5 for a bottle of water. Oh, you wanna sit back and recline the chair? Okay, that's another.
You wanted to bring your clothes with you? That's going.
Exactly. I have a friend who always comes to South Florida, and he uses Spirit Airlines. I'm like, what do you like about Spirit? But he can fold things into like a small carry-on so it can fit underneath his seat, because they also charge you for overhead storage. So
Oh, wow.
yeah. So if you want to put something overhead, so that's why I'm like, so really pay the extra so that you can have the experience. That's absolute rubbish, because they're trying to nickel and dime.
So you sit in your chair at Spirit with your bag on your lap like this.
Well, you can't even do that. It has to fit under the chair. If it doesn't, you get charged.
Okay. So yeah, that is the thing. And so I was trying to figure out, like right now we have 19 viewers from X right now. And I'm trying to figure out, and then this has been happening for the last 3 weeks. I was like, we sure getting a lot of viewers from X. I have a theory behind that.
Well, get your views in now, because very soon you won't be able to. So all these live stream shows and things you're going to be that you watch through X now, like, okay, the net, like I don't do Mediascope Live to X just because it's after Periscope, it's not anything I really valued. But the network Indie Soup does go live to X just because we can, but I'm like, oh, we're about to stop that, because I'm not going to cultivate a relationship that is not fruitful. I'm not paying you for this. So this is where we have to decide whether it's worth it. That's fine, because we could put another thing in there with no problem.
So here's the thing with, I think this is what happened. They are, they're showing that you have 19 people. So you may want to continue this by getting the paid.
Exactly.
Thing.
These are 19 bots. No, I'm sure they're real people.
I'm sure, yes. But like I said, I was like, but we just started noticing them for the last 3 weeks. Not.
Yeah, it's not worth it, because again, you have to think about when you go live places, and anybody who's going live, you have to think about your intended result. What do you want to get out of that, out of going live to these platforms? But also, is your audience there, and are they getting anything out of it? So sometimes simply because you can go live to a platform doesn't mean you should. Like we go live to X because we can, but I'm like, is it really garnering anything at the end of the day? No.
Are we getting, right? Is there any interaction? Are people? I remember when it was Periscope, and we went live and we did a walk, and people were joining in from different countries, and oh, that's beautiful. In Denmark, we do da 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 da. Okay, that doesn't happen anymore.
No, not at all. When it was Periscope, it was a beautiful thing. It was truly an interactive platform. But in true form, Twitter gets things and they bungle it, just like they did with Vine.
Wow. And they really had the corner on the market on short form video.
Listen, Vine, before there was any TikTok, there was Vine. And people were Vine stars. That was their thing. And again, but that's why you can't boo-hoo when platforms go away. You need to have a multifaceted strategy that does not only include Vine. So
right. And Elon had nothing to do with Vine. Whoever that was, the predecessors who killed Vine. I was like,
yeah, Jack Dorsey and them.
It's like, why did you do that?
They didn't know what to do, to be honest. They didn't. I mean, it's the same thing with killing Periscope. You don't realize how strong this type of social aspect is. But when you're trying to frame yourself, oh, well, we're this app or we're that app. No, you don't. Guess what? You don't get to decide what the app is. The users get to decide what the app is. And
Right.
you lean into that. So what happens too often with these apps is users begin to utilize the app in a certain way. The app decides, well, that's not what we're for. That's not what we like. And then they change the algorithm so certain things are now emphasized. But that's not what we use it for. It's the same thing with any technology. Think about, remember back in the day with pagers where you could send messages and it would be like, okay, hello. Well, if you dial this and you put it up, hello would. So this is how, and especially big in Asia, using pagers to send those like kind of text messages. The numbers form the text. It was a huge thing. So pager companies didn't say, no, that's not what it's for. You're only to put in the numbers that we tell you. No, because the user, the end user, decides how it's going to be used. And I say the same thing about social. You can have all the ideas in the world about how you want people to watch, when you want them to watch, how you want them to use. They will tell you how to do it. So lean into that. Anyway, I have just a couple of more stories, and I'm not sure if you know this. We'll come to the last one will be with the video. So, speaking of the House, they have approved a DJI drone ban. Did you hear about this one?
What?
Listen now. So DJI is the most popular maker of drones, all types of drones. So chances are, if you have some type of drone and you are a videographer, it's probably made by DJI because they really cornered the market on it. Well, DJI is a Chinese company. Okay. And so if you are a drone enthusiast, you want to keep an eye on this. It's called the Countering CCP Drones Act. And this would ban the sale of DJI drones in the US. It was passed by the House last Friday. Okay. So it still has to go to the Senate, but it was passed by the House last Friday. So it does have a ways to go. This was introduced by Congressman Mike Gallagher and Congresswoman Elise Stefanik in April of last year. And again, it's called the Countering CCP Drones Act. So far, the Senate Armed Services Committee has already approved the bill. The next step is for the Senate to debate the bill, and that could result in amendments. And any changes would then send it back to the House. Once a final reconciled version passes in both the House and the Senate, then the bill moves on to the president or the Oval Office. So why would you ban these drones? Well, according to Gallagher and Stefanik, it's necessary to ban the DJI drones for national security. They're arguing that because DJI is a Chinese-owned company, that they have to comply with demands from the Chinese government, which would include participating in espionage against the United States. So this is kind of similar to like the TikTok ban, right? And this is all coming out of mistrust between the U.S. and Chinese governments. Stefanik says this: DJI drones pose the national security threat of TikTok, but with wings. The possibility that DJI drones could be equipped to send live imagery of military installations, critical infrastructure, and the personal lives of American citizens to China poses too great a threat. So the end goal is to add DJI drones to the FCC's list of banned communication equipment. So that would prevent the future of all sales of DJI drones and other DJI products. And the bill could also revoke FCC authorization for existing DJI drones, which would ground products that are already in the field. So DJI responded to this bill, calling it baseless and xenophobic. And of course, many drone pilots, and that includes not just people that do cinematography, but that's also farmers as well. They oppose the bill, including the drone advocacy Act. So just as an aside, DJI drones make up 70% of the world's drone market share. And as I said, they are the leading manufacturer of drones, and they're considered like the industry standard. What do you want?
That is correct. My son is a photographer. When I need to have houses and get the overview shot, I'm not climbing up on a roof.
Aerials, yeah.
And so he gets the aerial shots, and I believe he's using DJI. And why would you not? Because they're very well built. But I'm like, okay.
Listen, most of the stuff we use is made in China. Get
Right.
over it. And that is the case because you decided that you would ship all this manufacturing overseas because
yeah,
you wanted to save 50 cents. Okay. So now you want to bring it back, or you want us to pay the price by not having the parts because you're going to cut off these companies. I just think we're doing way too much. And
yes,
absolutely. And the thing is, with the TikTok ban, I can see this is kind of similar, but with TikTok, I don't know. There are people that have this as part of their monetization strategy, and there are people that are making money on TikTok.
Mhm.
But the overwhelming majority of users of TikTok are not making their whole salary on TikTok, right?
No.
Banning a drone for a photographer, a filmmaker, that's like, I work with realtors, right? So I could just imagine banning a drone. And so now, and you may have 2 or 3 different drones from DJI. So now you're telling me I have to go out and buy something else, which, by the way, you 70% are made by DJI. You want me to go out and buy something else and spend money, my own money, because of this?
And it's less, and it could be lesser quality, because if it wasn't lesser quality, if it was not lesser quality, they would be probably 50%.
Exactly.
Competitive, yes.
You all don't know how to make quality electronics, so blame yourselves with that one. You want it to be, save money, like you said, ship it overseas. Fine. They've learned how to craft these things well, so people trust them. Mm-hmm. I don't trust your DJI or your drone, whoever it is, American
the other people.
Yeah, I don't trust you.
And it's now the drone is, how are they gonna, I guess they're saying it can be used to spy, but that means whoever's flying it has to fly it over whatever. It's not, you understand what I mean? The person, somebody's got to go fly it over the military installation.
Mm-hmm.
The individual has to do that.
And that airspace is restricted anyway. So
yes.
I was going to say, don't you think they're defending that space? I mean, if I was living on the base, I'd want to defend it, especially right now with all that's going on around the world.
So Go ahead.
It's not the drone that's the problem. It's who's flying it would be the problem. And if you're flying it and you are doing nefarious stuff with it, then you are the problem, not the drone.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So here's the thing. It doesn't matter. It could be any type of camera, any type of drone. If you're a nefarious person, you can still send secrets back, even if it's not a DJI drone. Fine. Correct. But if you look at the other products that DJI makes, so forget about drones for a minute. A really popular camera for vloggers is the DJI Pocket 2 and Pocket 3, the Osmo.
I have those little cameras, and I can wear it and walk and do stuff. It goes underwater and all kind of stuff. I'm like, what?
Exactly. It has a stabilizer. It's got a gimbal. So you don't have to buy a separate gimbal for that. Mm-hmm. It's got great quality. It shoots, 4K. It's you can hook up your phone to it and use it when you live stream. You're able to use that DJI Osmo, the Pockets, to live stream, and you just monitor on your phone. It is invaluable for content creators. There's so many everybody I know that's a content creator has like a DSLR or mirrorless plus that. So now you're telling them, okay, well, now you can't use that. And here's the thing, you come up with things and you have no good alternatives. None. None.
You did not think that through, because in order for the Chinese to get information from any of those devices requires the person who owns it to send it to them.
Exactly. And my thing is, like, if that is such a concern, then why don't you have, before these come in, they need to be thoroughly inspected, etc., before they're allowed to be on sale. You just want to outright ban them, and there's no plan. So that leads me to believe, which one of your lobbyists is trying to get the contract to build these consumer drones?
And we
because
shall
you all
not
never do anything to be nice. You're doing it
and
because
we
somebody
shall
better-
not buy. I will not buy an alternative.
No, you all have never proven yourselves to be good in this type of electronic. When money is to be made, if I'm doing something for a client, I want to make sure it's done well. So what you won't do is tell me what I'm not going to buy, and then you don't have an alternative plan, or your alternative plan is probably rubbish because you all, you know what I'm going to say. They operate from a point of mediocrity. I'll just say it. You have never been stellar. You always operate from a point of mediocrity when it comes to these things. Consumers want the best. If I am doing something for someone, I want to make sure it's going to be the best, because that's how you get paid. So now you're putting photographers, cinematographers, content creators, all of what they do on the line, because these content creators also do create for brands. So this goes into a whole ecosystem of content creation that you are trying to squash for something that is a theory that you have not proven. Where is the proof, Stefanik? In other words, where is the proof? You're saying all of these things, and I bet you all have never even taken a picture, let alone know how to fly a drone and understand.
There you go.
There are more pressing problems. Really? This is what you really?
And
remember, your seat is up in November. Just remember that.
Right. And the TikTok situation, banning why ever they're banning TikTok, well, that's embedded in the phone. Do you understand what I mean? That's a different set of circumstances. Okay, so you're pulling data from my phone. It's like with WhatsApp. How are you turning on and I'm not using you?
Yes,
that's a situation.
Mm-hmm.
So I can understand that part, but the operators of the drone and the cameras, they have to figure out a way to get that up to the whoever they're supposed to be getting it to. That does not make sense.
Exactly.
Anyway, I think this is going to be a moot point, because there will be a revolt. You talking about pitchforks and torches?
Exactly. Energy in the wrong place. This is a distraction. There are other more pressing things, and people are not. I for one, am not one that's going to be happy. I urge people to stay in their lanes and know what's what. If this is a real concern, the FTC and the FCC should be on this. They're the ones who understand this type of thing. You two bumbling fools, please do what your district asked you to do, please.
Right. And did you ask your district? Did you even ask people who use it? Did you consult with anybody? Did you do how they normally do a committee, and we haven't even heard that, and yet all of a sudden it's written and heading to the president's desk? Wait a minute.
Due diligence.
Nobody did a study.
TikTok hasn't even been shown that this is now, I'm not saying that it is not a national security risk. I'm not saying that at all, but they really quickly got themselves together to say, okay, well, we're going to ban TikTok unless it's so. I'm sorry. That's not the way things work. Where is the study? Where's the proof and the evidence that this is an actual threat?
Right. And they have not shown, does that innocent until proven guilty only happen You got to prove your point.
Exactly. Prove your point. So we'll see what happens with this, but people are not going to be happy if it comes to that, because here's the thing, there are no alternatives. Now, the thing is, I do have a drone that is not DJI, because I was like, well, this is a smaller one. So it's a Feiyutech, and Feiyutech is a Chinese company as well. And it is very similar to DJI, right? So, and Feiyutech makes a lot of the same things like DJI makes. So, for example, you've got that Pocket 3, they've got the same type of camera, but it's still a Chinese company. So now we're talking about, all right, less than this 30% that is left that are non-DJI product. I don't know what they want.
Do we have any US products that are made that is going to be comparable?
That are made in this country?
No,
we don't. Okay, sorry.
We don't even have the chips to put in the things, okay?
Exactly.
We're just now building our own chip plant. We're down in North Carolina when I reported on something like that. But I'm just saying, this is a challenge.
We do not have a homegrown alternative.
No, we don't. Now, there are a few drones that are made in the US.
But do we trust it?
No, I don't. They're like, again, DJI has cornered the market for a reason.
Right.
Okay. Because they're good, and it does because the alternative before, there were American made drones, they were helicopters, and they cost hella much for you to go up and take pictures and video. Nobody wants to do that. So with the advent of these driverless drones that were small enough and consumer enough for people to buy, this revolutionized what you were able to do. Most people, and you know this from being in real estate, most people did not have drone footage of their properties listings before. Now you could do
that used to cost a grip of money if you wanted a plane to do a flyover.
Exactly. Now you can do it for like pennies, right? If you are a person that can do drone photography and drone videography, you can get a few clients and pay for that drone within no time. But now you're putting that type of thing in jeopardy. This is a whole other conversation, but Congress, stay in your lane. This is not you. This is for the FCC.
We need the two people who put this together, they're going to get a gang of letters, emails, phone calls, and some other stuff.
I would say absolutely do this. Absolutely do that. You absolutely should be contacting them. If this is affecting your livelihood like that, you absolutely should be contacting them. And I see this a little differently than I do see the TikTok ban, because you can actually do this type of thing on other platforms. I understand you built it there. I get it, but you shouldn't be so dependent on a platform. But this is platform agnostic. This has nothing to do with a platform per se. This is people who are working in these fields that now don't have the tool to do it because you decided there is a phantom threat. If there is a real threat, you need to produce it. Anyway. So our last story is from Taxi, and we're going to talk a little bit about Toys R Us. Toys R Us, yes, they still exist now, and they're coming back with brick and mortar stores, I think. So they went online completely. Remember, they had filed for Chapter 11, or Chapter 7. Which one was it? I don't remember. I think it was
bankruptcy. Let's just go with that.
Correct. And they went online completely. Then you started seeing Toys R Us inside some. I wasn't Target, but I can't remember. But they had teamed
Macy's.
Up. Yes,
Macy's Christmas.
Exactly. So now I think they're getting ready to come back with some brick and mortar stores, but we'll see. But they actually have debuted their first brand commercial created with OpenAI's Sora, and I wanted to and I wanted to show this. And Fran,
hold on, Fran. I'll.
Yeah, you're gonna bring it up.
Yeah, I'll bring it up. What is this? Recipes?
Is that a?
No. Hold on.
No, go back.
Yeah. What is this wonderfulness?
It's an ad from Target or Pinterest or somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on a moment. Let me Bring it up and then share it. I have to go out here. You guys talk amongst yourselves while I do
this. So,
okay.
As we are waiting for it,
I believe this is it. Is this it about taxi?
But
yes.
there's a video.
Scroll down. There's a video. Scroll down. I have right
Is
there.
that the one?
And if that's the one.
Do you
and
ever wonder how Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe came to be? The son of the bike shop owner, Charles Lazarus, had a vision.
Okay.
Okay, we ready?
Did you ever wonder how Toys R Us and Jeffrey the Giraffe came to be? The son of a bike shop owner, Charles Lazarus, had a vision that would go on to change toy stores forever. To watch the full story, go to toysrus.com/studios.
So that was all created with Sora's OpenAI Sora. And this is this is the first time this has been done. Now we also saw the video from Sora of what could be done with it, but we haven't seen it put in a practical use
or a large commercial use. Yeah.
Exactly. Now, if you notice, this is voiceover. It's still not the characters talking, but it will get there. And so I found this very interesting. AI is just getting better and better when it comes to video. Obviously, if you're a video person, there's some telltale signs. I'm like, okay, this is still AI, but it's getting more and more photorealistic, which is interesting.
That video reminded me of something that you would have saw on a animation program, like, and the bear did such and such, and it was animated, right?
Yes.
It was, that didn't feel awkward.
Yes, exactly.
It felt like, and they did such and such, it felt like it didn't feel like it was AI. It felt like something that had been done through, animation. And now the Disney animators or whoever does animation,
they're in trouble.
No, I don't think they're in trouble. I think they'll be able to better use their skills to create with Sora, instead of having to do that whole long process they were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. So they say that it premiered during the Cannes Lion Festival, which was just like 2 weeks ago or so. And they showcased it to an audience of brand and advertising industry leaders. And they say this: our brand embraces innovation and the emotional appeal of Toys R Us to connect with consumers in unexpected ways. So it makes sense. The company that they teamed up with to do this is called Native Foreign. That was the ad agency that did this. So the fact that it's premiering at Cannes, that was a big deal as well. Some people applauded Toys R Us for taking the lead, and then some people also said that it looks lifeless and eerie.
I didn't get that.
I didn't either.
I didn't get it either. Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting to see what can be done with AI and all of this, because I remember years ago in 2014 when I was a fellow for the Television Academy Foundation, we went to DreamWorks Studios. And we went into the animation studio where they did the plot points, where you have the actors. So we saw all of this being done, and you see the amazing amount of energy, work, time, and of course money that goes into this. And all studios are trying to save a buck. Let's be clear.
Right.
They're still trying to recoup some money after this last strike.
Right.
So they're all trying to. Paramount, in fact, they've made like a lot of cuts as well. Paramount has some price hikes on the Paramount Plus plan. So everybody is feeling the pinch, and everybody's trying to cut back. And that could include using AI to, do some things and make it less expensive. But I found this interesting.
I'm wondering if the person who said it felt lifeless and eerie, if you didn't tell them it was used with Sora, would have felt the same way.
Exactly.
That is a great point.
I don't think, I really don't think that was the, you're looking for something to be wrong now.
Yeah. Nobody will be satisfied all the time, and some people will never be satisfied. So it's okay. Sora will get better, and you'll start to see more things done with it. So that's what I have for you today.
Thank you very much. That was
a nice note to end on.
Yeah.
I liked it. I really did.
Yeah. And I like the idea that we can do things easier would help. I posted something not too long ago. We have help. We got calculators. Let's use the calculator. We have Sora. Let's just use the tools and you don't have to be stressed out. DIY, you don't have to do that so much anymore. Yeah. So use the tools. Use them for good, but use the tools.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well stated. Okay.
Well, we want to thank you all for tuning in to BizChix today and Tech Life Weekly. We will be back. I am not sure. We may be moving that to the 8th, Terry.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, because we may just still be at Seasons 52 on the 1st. Because I need to hear back from some
Yes.
people.
Okay.
Yeah. So we will resume our first Monday event at Seasons 52 at 11:30 a.m. to 1 p.m.
Okay.
And so we're going to do that. And then we may do a surprise thing in August.
Okay.
For the block party.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So, but anyway, if you are in the Sacramento area, we invite you to come on out. Seasons 52 is at Art and Fair Mall. And we will be chit-chatting and talking. It's summer. Let's talk about what you got going on. And we want to showcase your business, bring your cards, maybe even a sample of what it is that you do. You do jewelry, bring a couple of pieces, you do other things, just bring it and show us what you do. All right. So thank you for tuning in, Dr. Tachi. Thank you so much. You can find Dr. Tachi and a lot of her work on indiesoupmedia.tv. And you can also catch up with her on Wednesdays for Mediascope. Terry and I will be back on Monday with Ms. Silviano for coffee conversations. And then Tuesday, Terry Johnson online from everywhere. We'll be back with Marketing Talk. Then Wednesday, Coach Karen is with us talking money, mindset matters. Thursday with Robin Shimizu and Happy Healthy Habits. And then we will be back here with more Tech Life Weekly. And we just want to say thanks. Come on back to see us and become a part of the BizChix community. You can join by going to texting biz to 33777 or just going to bizchix.net. However you connect with us, we are here to help you take the hassle out of your hustle so that you can build a profitable business that's fun to run. And we will see you next week.
All right, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.